And 15 minutes after the hour, Mark Oppel, thanks for joining us here. We are 15 minutes away from opening our grain and livestock trade for this Tuesday. And leading things off are friends from Allendale, Rich Nelson, joining me once again. Rich, we have a Crop Progress Tuesday. Lots of numbers to look at here. Progress looking at corn, first of all, and we'll cover other commodities as well, but right on target with where a lot of traders thought it would be.
No, that's exactly right. In terms of this very aggressive planting pace we did last week, compared with what people were initially talking about for last week, certainly got the trade's attention. 17% of the corn across the U.S. is planted right now, according to USDA's numbers from yesterday afternoon. And that was, in fact, just under the 5-year average of 18%. And that does lead people to wonder if perhaps we're going to get this corn caught up this week, even though we've got some heavy rains lined up in the next few days. Maybe we're not going to be as far behind as we thought for next week's numbers on corn. As far as the numbers on the sorghum side as well, we got to point out that these numbers here from USDA, 24% planted over the 5-year average of 23 as well. And heck, even when you're looking over at the cotton side here, over on that one, I believe people are also pointing out that this market is not too far behind as well. So bottom line for all these issues is we caught up with our delayed planting discussion right now. Exactly.
And our first look at soybeans, USDA putting that number out for the first time yesterday, and a 6% nationwide, 3% normal, but no one's going to get too excited about that on the 25th of April.
That's exactly right. And in terms of these numbers, keep in mind this is still mostly a southern planting issue here. We still really haven't gotten into the main soybean states here yet. For instance, you're looking at Louisiana, 59% done, Mississippi, 60% done on soybeans. So we still have a lot of ground to cover, but certainly for the early start, not too bad here overall.
And so looking at the markets here on the day, looking at corn and well, the entire grain complex, what's on your front burner today?
So obviously the crop progress does set us up for a slightly negative viewpoint with today's discussion. The second thing is something we really haven't talked about too much, and that's actually with trade here for today. We do have discussions from the Commerce Secretary, Wilbur Ross, where he mentioned a 20% tariff. It's actually ranging from 3% to 24% on Canadian softwood lumber imports. So for us on this trade side, this is not a major panic issue, but we'll have to watch this kind of closely and make sure that this doesn't develop into anything further that affects us on the grain or livestock side.
Very good. Rich, we're going to get some other numbers here in our planning progress and then visit with Ed Serwin here in our cattle market coming up. So we want to thank you for getting us started on this Tuesday, and we'll touch base tomorrow.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. Rich Nelson from Allendale leading us off here on a Tuesday. Take a look at that corn a little bit closer. Some of the most active states, he's mentioning a few of those here as we take a look at the progress reports the USDA giving us last night. We wanted to, and Marlon and Audie putting this together here, and for our producer, and looking at North Carolina, 63% nationwide. That's the leading the way. Missouri, big progress in the Show Me State, 46%. That's the second highest of any state here as far as corn planting. Tennessee at 45, right behind Missouri. Then we drop to Illinois. Illinois, another state that made a lot of progress last week, 34% in the ground in Illinois. And then Kentucky at 29. Those are the 5 most active states as far as planting progress is concerned. Then we move across Interstate 80 real quick here before we take a break and talk to Ed Serwin. Nebraska and that western belt, 17% planted. That's ahead of schedule. Iowa at 8%, a little behind there. We mentioned Illinois at 34. Interesting, right next door, Indiana is only 15% planted. That is still ahead of schedule, but about half of where Illinois is right now. And Ohio showing up nothing last week, 9% this week, and then their average is 10. We'll take a break. We'll come back and check the livestock trade, check in with Ed Serwin, a comprehensive look at the cattle market from last week. As we wrap it up, we'll have his thoughts coming up.